Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Death by Pony and today we're hopping back into our life. Today we should be finishing up the moment we were on last time. So without further ado, let's hop into this. Let's get into this amusement park thing. I'm not sure what part he's talking about. As far as I can tell, I didn't do anything to upset him and I know he didn't do anything to me. Sorry, that's what you're going with, Shiloh? Jeremy, what happened? I'm not going to tell you. It's humiliating. Shiloh knows I'm not going to say anything. It's why he won't explain either. For several quiet moments, everyone stared at Shiloh and Jeremy in confusion. Shiloh had a similar look on his face, before averting his eyes. Sorry, I can't help you with this one, Ari. I want to see his reaction to can I get his number. What? Why?
All right.
Sure. Ignoring Jeremy again, Shiloh immediately started listing off the number for you. Jeremy grimaced while you contentedly saved it in your contact list. That's everything I feel like asking. Cool. Thanks for asking. Cove, do you have any questions for Jeremy? Stunned, it took Cove a moment to recover from being put on the spot. But ultimately, his eyes shifted from Shiloh and locked with Jeremy's, but remained like that long enough that it was as if they could speak telepathically. Alright, yeah, I have a question, but Shiloh can't answer. Fine, ask me. Let's get it over with. What do you think of me? Even if you don't think I'm tough or something, do you still feel like I'm stupid and wrong about everything? A crack formed in Jeremy's lackadaisical expression. His barely open eyes lifted a little more, but he still spoke flatly. My opinion on stuff basically the least important thing you could ever worry about. It's pointless. Well, I'm still asking, so. Cove, right? That's your name? Cove nodded, and there was a tint of pink in his cheeks as he bashfully rubbed his arm.
Okay.
Okay, Cove, you seem like a guy who cared a lot about things that don't matter. It sounds pretty dumb to me. I outgrew that years ago. And being as soft as you act, it's something that I would it isn't something that I would ever do, basically. But you know what the absolute dumbest thing really is? Cove shook his head with a crest eyebrow and leaned forward just a bit, like he could risk not hearing what relation Jeremy was going to bestow upon him. Making yourself miserable if you don't have to be. Oh. If you and the rest of the people here have a way to enjoy existence, then you should go ahead and do that. Stay gentle, happy, dumb eyebrow guy.
You have my approval, if that's what you wanted.
I hope you all have a wonderful lives and suffer as little as possible. Wow. The words tumbled out softly. Cove was earnestly amazed by Jeremy's words.
Thank you.
And you know what's not going to make you stay happy? What? Talking to a downer like me. So really, you should end this conversation right now, and none of you should ever call me again for the rest of your lives. That sounds good. Can I hang up already? Wait, Jeremy, I can't ever call you again? Shut up, Shiloh. Unfazed, Shiloh laughed with a little tilt of his head, building something good up to only undercut it. That's Jeremy's no. Sorry. The word dripped with sarcasm and was accompanied by a smirk. It was the first time you saw him smile this entire time. Cove piped up meekly, an awkward smile on his face. Maybe my opinion is totally skewed because I'm comparing things now to how Jeremy used to be. I mean, you don't seem that bad. What? Cove needed to look away from Jeremy's painfully sharp eyes, finish the thought.
I mean,
I'd probably be okay with talking to you again. Sigh, come on, you can have standards. I want to keep talking to Jeremy too. Yeah, Kofi's pretty cute. I'd be fine ending this call now. I don't think he's that bad. And no comment. We want to keep talking. He seems cool. Jeremy groaned loudly at your acceptance of him. Your smile only widened in amusement, and Liz clapped her hands. Wonderful.
Good.
Now that we're so much closer, this Jeremy kid, I think we can all get along together and be friends. Friends? Jeremy repeated the words back like it was a foreign phrase. He genuinely didn't seem to understand. That's right, if we keep working on it, I don't see why the five of us can't be friends. He stared at Liz incredulously for several moments, his expression twisted and fresh, accusing of her own. Okay, three things. First, I already have one whole friend. That's more than enough. Second, I still don't know who you are. Did you even say your name at any point? And most importantly, third, one of these people in this friendship is Shiloh Fields, and he and I aren't going to be friends. Why not? And I'm Liz, by the way. Because he's Shiloh. Our relationship is already as good as it's ever going to be. He mercifully leaves me be most of the time, and on the weird occasion where he needs something, I just get it over with. Then he goes away, and I have a modicum of peace. You know how it works, right? You're in it with me. You have the best arrangement possible with the way it is. Jeremy looked to Shiloh seriously to back up the validity of their relationship, but Shiloh shook his head with a laugh. I don't try to hang around too much, but that's because you're shy. You're the only one who thinks that setup is actually a good idea. Sorry. Jeremy turned his face to the side and let out another exaggerated sigh. Cove and Liz both joined Shiloh's mirth. Jeremy got no support.
Sigh.
Of course you'd say that. Why did I even bother? That's Shiloh's famous memory for you. Liz chuckled. Stop. What do you mean, Shiloh's famous memory? What? Whatever. Basically, Shiloh's annoyingly remembers everything that happened for all of eternity. And at least until some piece of info he isn't helpful anymore, or he's got explaining to do, then magically, all of a sudden, he doesn't know anything about it. His bold is consistent recollection of situations. It's pretty much a running joke. It's Shiloh's shtick. One of them anyway. A scowl dug into Liz's face as Jeremy spoke. Cove lost his smile, seeing her reaction. Shiloh remained silent with the big childlike eyes locked on your sister. Jeremy began to shrink away from the screen. At the changing atmosphere, he broke eye contact with everybody. I'm guessing he didn't mention that. No, he didn't. And he said he'd forgotten something to you. I do recall him saying a little thing like that. Sorry. But, well, apparently you hadn't had the pleasure of meeting Nate. You know me. I talk about Pran and Everett, too. We're all in an unbearable group, and we're all unbearable people. What an amazing coincidence, huh? What we're about is kind of hard to hide. I'm going to go now. Don't want to be the fifth wheel to your own little group. You three people have a good day, I guess. And Shiloh, I'll see you back at school.
Bye.
Bye. Jeremy promptly ended the call just as people had begun to warm up to him. He accidentally found a new way to ice the mood again. Shiloh, now averting his own gaze, put his phone away and chuckled.
So...
I knew that Jeremy didn't think highly of me, but it's even worse than I thought. That's really sad. Shiloh. Her firm tone immediately brought Shiloh's focus back to her. Once she got his attention, however, Liz's voice became small. When we first met you in the city, did you know who we were? Did you pretend not to recognize us? The two old friends watched each other for a beat. Ultimately, Shiloh closed his eyes with a lopsided smile. Oh, Liz, you've got to know I could never really forget you. Liz was speechless, but it wasn't quiet. Cove couldn't stop himself from shouting out. Oh my god, you were lying to them? Lying is a strong word. I was, improvising. It was cruel, Shiloh. If that makes more sense than you not figuring it out. You didn't really mind, but you were instead concerned about why he felt that was Bischoff. You're crazy and a liar. You smirked and thought Shiloh was pretty bold. You didn't have any idea what to say to that. I feel like this one. He didn't dislike you that much, or it was something else. Go home, Shiloh, or go to my house and wait there until we can send you home.
All right.
Okay. With his shoulders dipped and head low, Shiloh obediently left the park alone. After he disappeared up the road, Liz sat her butt down right in the sand with no concern for how dirty her dress might get this time. You went after Shiloh just to talk to him? We'll talk with our sister. You can go. We're done. Cove shared an unsure look with you. She wanted to be alone, but this wasn't the time for that. No, it's obvious you need us here with you. Accepting that you were going to be here for this, she let out a groan. At the same time, Liz pulled the side of her hat down, gripping it tightly in frustration. I can't believe he pretended he didn't know us. Since when was Shiloh too good to catch up with acquaintances? It's infuriating. I'm an idiot for thinking we could talk. You wrapped your arms around her. You leaned against her. You took her arm. You watched constantly. Ugh. You whittled closer and pulled your big sister into a hug from the side. You continued to hold on, even when she didn't let go of her hat. No, you're not an idiot. He's an idiot. She'll lie to us. That's not your fault. No, you're smart and talented and amazing. Liz, I'm sorry. You can still make things okay again. Smart and talented and amazing. Seriously, Shlo is a tool for not realizing that. I know, I shouldn't care. It doesn't matter if one person doesn't want to be my bestie. He's not the greatest man on earth. I'll be fine. But I brought him here all the way from the other side of the state. And I don't even know why he did any of this. Liz finally removed her hands from the brim of her hat in order to rub her temples instead. It blows. Cove snorted, some nervous laughter at her unexpected phrasing. She didn't mind it. It's true, but you'll always have me. Say the word and I'll force the answer out of him. I bet he's just intimidated by a successful woman. Liz, if we ever see that guy again, I'll hurl him into the ocean. We had so much fun without him. He has no idea what he'll be missing out on. I'm here for you, Liz, through thick and thin, no matter what. Ah,
Thank you.
thanks, baby kiddo. She squished you tightly and rocked you back and forth in a dramatic hug. You let out a cove-like squeak. I love you. I love you too. And that's what family's for. Well, I thought it was for hogging the phone while growing up, but this works. She released you with a shaky, self-impressed laugh. Oh, and thank you too, Ko, for being around. We're practically family ourselves, right? She shot him a wary smile, and he chuckled bashfully. Yeah, no problem. Good, good. Liz rested her eyes after those last couple of words. It eased your heart to see her feel better. Cove let out a soft sigh of relief. Your longtime neighborhood group sat together quietly in the sand, just enjoying the feeling of familiarity and support. You weren't entirely sure how much time had passed, but you were eventually caught off guard by the soft call in the distance, and you the three of you turned around to the sound. There, standing at the edge of the playground, was Shlo himself. He waved. Moved in front of Liz protectively. You huddled closer to Liv nervously. You back. We're gonna wait. You wanted to give him a chance. You've got some nerve, Shlo. It's a good thing your name is Fields, because I'm going to put you in the ground. Hi. You have something to say? I will punch you in the face. You didn't speak. Do you have something to say? What's that? I couldn't hear you from over there. But don't get up on my account. I'll come to you. Really, Shlo? All right. You knew he heard what you said. Shlo approached with easy strides, as if he had been welcomed. You were floored with how much confidence or shamelessness the boy was apparently capable of now. Liz turned her face and refused to acknowledge what was happening. She might have been trying to think happy thoughts and wish Shlo's presence away. Unfortunately, it didn't work. When Shlo arrived, he plopped down into the sand with the rest of you, his legs folded crisscross.
Hi.
Hi. Shlo, get lost. I will, in just a minute. What do you want now? Well, I figured you'd want to talk to me after you had some space. I ought to let you do that, even if you're going to yell at me. Liz finally faced him to be free to snap at Shlo with full force. And why in the world would you think that? And Shlo looked back at her softly. You haven't changed that much, Liz. You're the one who found me online when I brushed you off earlier this summer. When have you ever preferred leaving something unresolved in the end? You didn't even get a chance to make me explain why I did it. I bet you're dying to do that. Liz grounded her teeth, quietly fuming. Shlo had called it right, and that sucked for her. Fine, I'll bite. Give me your excuses. Well, mostly, it was really bad timing. I could have handled it a lot better if I had known I was going to see you that day. If there wasn't a self-appointed hall monitor dutifully watching every move people made. And a hi, good to see you, gotta go was simply too much for your little heart to manage. Of course, the goal was to keep as much distance as possible. Admitting I was the guy you knew wouldn't have been helpful. So you can't stand us, and me trying to reconnect, which is a huge pain for you after all. Amazing, wonderful, thanks so much for saying so. No, that's not it. Don't feel bad, though. You're almost never wrong. Your older sister's brows twitched as she stared at Shlo in tired disbelief. He smiled back at her brightly. I did it so this wouldn't happen. What? I dealt with that situation the way I always do, by saying stuff I didn't exactly mean, because it's just easier that way. You heard Jeremy. It's what I'm known for. Sure, right now you're mad that I pretended not to remember you, But if I hadn't done that, it would have been something else later on. We'd have ended up here still. This anger became more and more difficult for her to maintain. It was soon replaced with sad confusion. Then don't do that. Don't be like that. Why not be someone you're actually okay showing me? Shiloh chuckled uncomfortably and searched for a way to explain himself to his former idol. I wouldn't have made you sad if I could have avoided it. I mean that. I thought I could at least finish this visit without issue. Jeremy wasn't someone I was expecting to call me out. That's pointless to him usually. But I'm just going to be someone whose personality revolves around making you happy. No matter how much I follow others, it wasn't for them. Every decision was mine. I couldn't be in charge, so being a sidekick was to the best option was something I did for my sake. I choose to let people be the boss when it was what when it's what I needed, and I chose where to stop it. And the best I can do for you now is to spare you from dealing with it. I'm not as earnest as you are. I'm not as nice as you are. I was always like that, even as a kid. Back then, I wanted to fit in, even if it meant excluding someone else if they were the odd one out. I'd mean that'd mean I wasn't. Finding my place here got harder when Cove moved in. It was a good thing for everybody that I ended up moving myself soon thereafter. You were speechless? That's horrible. I knew it. I was sure you weren't being honest back then. You felt bad for me. Huh, okay then. You didn't want to say it out loud, but you had always successed that. You felt bad. It sounds like he struggled to develop relationships, and you wondered why he ended up that way. I knew that essentially how you were back then. You were a scaredy cat who wanted someone to defend you. I simply imagined that in the past 10 years, you grew out of that and learned how to speak to others like, I don't know, an actual grown up human being. Well, in my defense, I'm not an adult yet. I won't be 18 until later this year in October. October 30th. You remembered. So did you, punk. Shiloh chuckled, self-conscious, as Liz smirked at him. There was an affable moment before she became serious again. I liked you when we were kids. I wanted to know you now. That's what upset me the most. The idea that maybe you only wanted to be rid of your old friends. Aw, Liz, you're too good to need someone like me in your life. That's the truth. I'm not worth the effort. Except for with unusual people who have odd taste. Then she straightened up in the sand, brushing her dress back out. That's an incredibly annoying thing to say. It's insane. You've only changed in stupid ways and stayed the same for the rest. That's fair. Is it? I mean, maybe. I have unusual tastes. You could have stuffed Shiloh's entire hat into his mouth with how wide he opened it. Really? Well, as much as mother hen being compelled to look out for their chicks, no matter how useless they are, is unusual, I can't help it. You haven't changed that much after all, either. You're still Shiloh. You're painfully still Shiloh.
You're welcome.
I brought you here, and I'm not going to abandon you. It has to be someone's job to look out for and keep an eye on you. With her surety returning, she pulled herself up off the ground and glowered down at Shiloh with her arms folded. Now, I do want an apology for everything done behind our backs when you could have opened with all of what you just said. You should have given us a real chance or stayed home. This stunt was rude to me and Ari and Cove too. As if bringing the baby chick's comparison to life, Shiloh dutifully did as he was told. Sorry, Lizzie, Ari, Cove, everyone. I didn't want to cause problem or ruin the day. And you don't have to accept just because I'm saying it. Not everyone needs to like everyone. Alright then. You were kind of mean sometimes when we were kids, but I wasn't very nice to you either. All this recent stuff isn't really something to make about me, so I'm not gonna hold on to it. I mean, as long as you're not going to keep upsetting people from now on. Thanks, Cove. I'll avoid doing that in the future. Then, changed He then changed his focus to you. His expression was curious. He wanted to know where your feelings landed on him. Were you pretending to have a good time with us today? I'll accept your apology. I'm not forgiving you. Don't even think about it. You couldn't give him a straight answer. You shouldn't forgive him. That's crazy. You gave him a faint smile, feeling sort of relieved. I'll accept your apology. Shlo was being Shlo, and all you could do was accept that he was going to be Shlo.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ari, do you want to stay for what's left of the evening? As you got to your feet, you thought about it. Yeah. I still like Shlo. If Liz is looking out for Shlo, someone has to look out for her. I'm kind of interested to see what happens next. I'll stick around. I just feel sorry for you, Shlo. I want us to stay together. A sly grin went across your face. Shlo jumped to his feet, straightened his cap on the landing. Lynn would be so proud you didn't all leave. Cove rose as well with a groan. Another group mate? No, he's our group supervisor. He's also friends with my mom. And if you were still wondering, that group for people who have difficulty dealing with attitudes, Jeremy and Nate being in it makes a lot of sense, huh? Difficult to deal with attitudes. Shlo spoke simply and finished his thought with a breezy shrug. Liz sighed loudly and then smiled ruefully at him. Gee, Shlo, you certainly made yourself other people's problems since leaving. Well, now you all know me better too. Thanks for sharing. A small smirk appeared on her face as she watched Shlo. You didn't fail to notice the hint of sarcasm in her voice. And thank you, Ari. Accompanied by a warm smile, this tone was sincere. I can keep hanging out with everyone too? Sheepishly, Cove rubbed his arm. Liz smile stretched into a grin at that news. Aw, thanks for sticking around. Well then, what now? The four of you stared at each other in silence until Shlo tentatively made a suggestion. Would anybody want to build a sandcastle? That sounds ideal. Your older sister began truly relaxing again, and you were glad to see it. Glancing at Cove, he nodded in agreement with Liz. It's been a while since any of us did that together, huh? Let's do it. Then we're all agreed. Come on, gang, let's go play at the beach. The sun was far across the sky when the four of you trailed down the park to the shore in comfortable silence. It was hard not to think back on how familiar it all felt. You never thought the four of you would ever be here together again. It wasn't long before you were sitting on the wet ground, busily pushing as much sand as possible into a lump. You all worked together quietly, but every so often a chuckle would drift through because the castle's lopsided development. At one point, Cove stretched his legs out completely, and the incoming wave started to reach his toes. He initially caught off guard and almost jumped into the castle, but ultimately didn't resist the water. After that, the group worked with purpose to finish before the ocean could tear it all down. Though even still, Liz ended up taking time to be particular about the castle's rudimentary design. Shlo, of course, backed up all of her plans. Cove was a dissenting voice, wanting to keep things more laid back. Things got pretty boisterous. Being there and doing this with Cove, Liz, and Shlo, it felt weirdly different, yet also weirdly the same.
So...
What happened with the amusement park? You were pretending not to know, weren't you? Both of you and your sister glanced at Shlo, silently re-asking the question. Under the weight of all three of you taking turns to ask about it, Shlo finally gave in. I might have an idea of what he meant.
So...
There's this thing. There's someone we're both familiar with, and she asked Jeremy to the amusement park one time. He accepted it, but just complained about it, so I suggested that maybe me or her should go together. Jeremy also agreed that it'd be more fun to go around the park with me. That's what he meant when he said he was on my side. Still, she went with him, and now Jeremy is embarrassed to admit not that he was turned down, but that he was the preferred option then. It's hard to believe. Anyway, Jeremy couldn't think that I'm mad I got passed over, but it doesn't matter if she said yes or no. All that counts is if she knows I'm totally there when she needs it, and she does. Sure, Shlo. You're so reliable. I know, right? Okay, thanks for telling us.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Smiling to yourself, you watched the three of them absorb the moment. It was nice, and you hoped everybody else was having just as much fun. It was sort of incredible that you were able to have another evening like this in your life, and the feeling of odd serendipity wasn't only with Shlo. You had also gotten a sort of closure with the old villain of that one summer long ago. Just like old times, the four of you stayed on the beach until night fell, and the moon was high in the sky. Then the time had come to say goodbye. Slow needed to get back to his mom and back to where his life truly was now. Before leaving the beach, Slow pulled you aside and gave you his number, just in case you wanted to keep in touch. Liz already had it, though he wanted to give it to you personally. You weren't expecting it, but it was comforting to know that this didn't have to be a permanent goodbye. The four of you walked up the neighborhood streets as one tired smiles covering their faces, familiar faces around you. The wind gently blew, sand dragged behind you, and a hard to grasp feeling of contentment carried you through the end of the road. It was a good night. After that, Slow disappeared from Sunset Bird once again, though this time it wasn't heartbreaking or hard to understand. This time it was just another part of life. And it helped that Liz had her own phone and laptop and could easily check in on him time to time. That was nice too. Oh, that was really sweet. Because I like that we get like a new person every summer. It was kind of sad that people are just kind of in and out of your life. But that's just how it goes. But that was really sweet to kind of see where he ended up.
I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. And if you did, remember to hit like. That way I know you're enjoying the content I'm making. Remember to subscribe. That way you can come back and see what happens next. And I won't take up any more of your time. If you have a good day, I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.